border crisis and President Trump's trip down to Texas. The former president meeting with Governor Greg Abbott and border officials yesterday. He also toured an unfinished section of the border wall, and during that visit, he ripped into President Biden and his administration over their open border policies. Newsmax White House correspondent Emerald Robinson is down near the border in Hidalgo, Texas right now, and she talked with the former president yesterday. And Emerald, I see the border wall wide open right behind you.
Yeah, I'm actually a few miles away from where we were yesterday with President Trump and Governor Abbott. This is, as you said, Hidalgo, Texas. And right through there, if you looked at that opening that you just noted, is the town of Reynosa in Mexico. Now, this area in between there and Reynosa has become a battleground for the cartels. That means that in this area of Hidalgo, there has been a major uptick in crime, according to people we talked to, residents of this area, even so much in the last week. So that's a lot of what we heard about yesterday, right, from President Trump and Governor Abbott when they talked about the need for not just border security, but continuing the border wall. Now, when I talked to President Trump and I asked him, as Democrats continue to roll back border policy, as House Democrats on the Appropriations Committee just this week, proposed revoking all the funds for border wall, what he thinks it is. Why? Is it just because it was his Trump-era policies? And he told me he thinks it's due to Democrat incompetence.
I mean, the real question is, do they really want open borders? Or are they incompetent? There's only two things. You're either incompetent or for some reason you have a screw loose and you want to have open borders.
Well, that was actually during the events yesterday, but I also talked to President Trump about that, and this is what he had to say.
So I used to think they wanted open borders, but now I realize they can't, because who would want that unless they are really dumb people? And they're not dumb people. They're vicious people, but they're not dumb people. And now I think it's just gross incompetence. I really do.
So the president is saying he thinks it's gross incompetence. And then when I talk to residents in this area, law enforcement and Border Patrol behind me, they do see the need, they say, for the border wall. But if you'll notice, John, there is some activity going on behind me along the border wall. There's some construction. We were told that they're doing some reinforcement today. We were also told, which I didn't know, that this area of the wall, it's an 11-mile stretch, has been approved to continue some work on, that the government has deemed it necessary, especially given the rise in crime. And we'll share some more stories of personal stories from residents here in town who are afraid to go on camera, but they're very afraid of what's happening in regards to crime here and the cartels. John,
not stopping the crime down there. Great job reporting as well, Emerald. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much. All right, let's check in now with Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan. Congressman Jordan, great to see you.
Good to be with you, John.
All right, so incompetence, that's what the president says is the reason for what we're seeing down the border. I know, though, that you and Congressman McClintock are going to try and bring Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas before your committee for some questions. In terms of incompetence, as the president alleges there, what kind of questions would you like to ask the Homeland Security Secretary?
Well, I think in a general sense, whether it's incompetence or it's intentional, we know it's bad. We know we basically don't have a border, and but for Governor Abbott and other governors who are sending National Guard there, I don't know that we can get any kind of control of the chaotic situation. So I think it's just time that Secretary Mayorkas come and answer our questions. Remember, the president won't go to the border. Vice President Harris, John, only went to the border once she knew that President Trump was going to go there. And when Secretary Mayorkas went, he wouldn't even let the press in the very facilities that he was touring. So they've tried to keep this information from the country. We know how bad it is. We want him to come in and answer our questions, and why the Democrats won't have him in, why we haven't had a hearing on this chaotic situation on our border. I just don't understand. So we're trying to create that momentum and get him to come in. We'll see if it happens.
We have a map prepared here. We want to compare and contrast the Vice President Kamala Harris's visit with Donald Trump's here so the folks can see. I mean, she really wasn't even that close to the border. She was up in the El Paso area, close to the border, I should say, but not close to the real hotspot down in McAllen where the president was. And, you know, if you're not there where the real issues are, I mean, I guess the whole border is an issue, but if you're not really down in McAllen, Texas, in that part of the state, are you really seeing the root causes, as they like to mention?
No, you're not, and you don't get a chance to talk to the agents. And every single agent told us that it's three things that have caused this. It's the announcement from Biden that he wasn't going to deport anyone. It's the announcement from the Biden administration that they weren't going to finish the wall. And it's the change in policy, the Remain in Mexico policy. Those things are what is driving this huge influx of migrants, and it's increased every month. But they're not just incompetent, as President Trump said. I think they're clueless in so many ways, because if you saw 2 days ago, Secretary of State Blinken, who's supposed to be looking at the root causes of this migration influx, he announced that you can name your gender on your passport now. You can choose your gender. So they're focused on things like that instead of the real issues that are confronting us on our southern border.
The trick with root causes, as you know, people smarter than myself have pointed out, is that you don't actually have to present solutions. You just talk about the root causes, or just mention root causes enough, and people think you're getting to the bottom of something, but you're actually not. Another development this afternoon I want to talk to you about as well is the 1-6 Commission. We're learning today that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has appointed Liz Cheney to serve on the January 6 committee. I guess that's what you'd expect if Nancy Pelosi is going to be picking the Republicans.
Yeah, frankly, it doesn't surprise me, but you look at the people she's named. You got Schiff, you got Raskin. I think this is going to be impeachment round 3. We all know what this is. It's just another attempt to go after President Trump, because I think the Democrats are frankly afraid he's going to run in 2024. I want him to run. I think if he runs, he's going to win. I want him to run. So I think this is just a round 3 of impeachment. Look, everyone knows what happened on January 6th was wrong, and people who did wrong need to be held accountable. But the Democrats are going to, I think, make this completely political. One more chance for them to attack President Trump, because they don't want him running for office again in 2024.
That does seem to be the case, as at least with the last impeachment, that seemed to be their motivation, to silence him and sideline him. The other thing I want to talk to you about, too, is our surveillance state, the intelligence state, our federal government. The NSA is denying allegations made by Tucker Carlson of Fox News that the agency is spying on him. They released this statement: Tucker has never been an intelligence target of the agency, and the NSA has never had any plans to try and take his program off the air. That's a pretty specific denial there. But Congressman, we've seen this just recently, the abuses with the FISA courts. We know about the NSA's metadata surveillance. Former New York Times reporter James Risen called the Obama-Biden administration the greatest enemy of press freedom in a generation. It's not hard to imagine the NSA spying on television personalities.
Well, and also that statement was written a certain way, it seems to me. He wasn't the target, and they're not trying to get his show off the air, but it doesn't say if they have seen his communications, whether they've seen them or not, or reviewed them or not. So I just felt the way the statement was written was kind of interesting. But you're exactly right. Remember, it was the Obama-Biden FBI who took a dossier that they knew was false, and they used that as the basis to go get a warrant to spy on President Trump's campaign. We know that happened. We know it was spying on a presidential campaign. So, yeah, we got all that history, not to mention the fact that the IRS is leaking confidential taxpayer tax returns of American citizens, and a host of other things that should cause us all a great deal of concern when it comes to our privacy and comes to our fundamental rights.
Yeah, it's hard to believe more people wouldn't be outraged by this, both the IRS issues and, the people are just so dismissive that the NSA be looking into Tucker Carlson, but how can you dismiss that based on their history? One more development I want to talk to you about too is the Supreme Court ruling today, and it looks like Arizona's new voting rules don't discriminate after all, at least according to 6 of the 9 Supreme Court justices. Democrats claimed that these rules unlawfully discriminated against the state's Native American, Hispanic, and Black voters, but Samuel Alito wrote this: having to identify one's own polling place and then travel there to vote does not exceed the usual burdens of voting. They say this is going to make it harder to challenge the other election laws in Georgia, Florida, and Texas as well.
Democrats are always critical whenever we want real and technical elections, and we want a safe and secure election. We want everyone to vote who wants to vote, everyone who's allowed to vote, everyone's eligible to vote, all legal votes. We want all those, but we want it done in a safe, secure, legal fashion, and Democrats always attack that. I do think it's interesting, though, that this week you had in New York 130-some-thousand ballots that were test ballots somehow get counted, and the press is, this is big news and everything, but it's not. It has nothing to do with what happened in 2020. I mean, it's just amazing to me to see how the left-wing press, what they will say about this. But that should cause us all, to step back and take notice of this. And again, it's why we want to get to the bottom of everything that happened in the 2020 election to make sure we have integrity in our processes as we move forward.
It is going to be interesting when the New York Board of Elections office starts implementing some of the same rules that we're seeing in Georgia, Florida, and Texas to ensure that this stuff can't happen. Congressman Jordan, great to see you as always.
You bet, John. Take care.
Hi, Emma Reckenberg here. If you like this video, there's a whole lot more to see on Newsmax TV. You can watch for free right here on our YouTube live stream and be the first one here each time our experts break down real news. Just hit that subscribe button, ring the bell icon, and stay with us on America's fastest growing cable news channel, Newsmax TV.